Where is that? Where is that? It's there. Sitting here going, oof, what did Jay do? Right? Right? You're okay? I am doing okay. I am. And welcome on in. You know what? I did put that one in the wrong spot. Well then. How did I do that? Going with your mom and nephew to the movies? Heck yeah, what movie did you see? But I'm being vintage now. Okie dokie, Jody. That Jack moves. I can put my chips back on that. Okay, no spoilers, but how was it? 'Cause I want to see that one. No, Jody, come back. Jody, I'll be right back. Let me RV. You know, I finally get one section correct, and then I got frog it all because I messed up at a previous stitch. Such is my life. Made you cry? Aw, I mean, if it was good, that's understandable. And you said it was good, so. I can't see this stupid stitch. Thank you, Cat. I thought I had that as a timer. Apparently I didn't. That's a me thing. Like, I'm horrible about stuff.
The fucking filthy rats kills me every time.
Not sure where I'm supposed to put. Why is it so difficult to frog stuff like this? Is that hover? Oh. We're gonna shred this thread. Not on purpose, though. He's asleep. Time to get the stitch out. Yes. How's G doing? You doing alright? Jody expects me to ask about Jay because, well, it's me. But also, if I ever ask how you or your family is doing, it's because I do care. And Jay's basically fam too. No idea where this one goes. But here and there, Granddad is slowly getting worse. Oh, so sorry to hear that. And that's rough. Yeah. My grandma went, you know, later before she passed, I swear she had dementia. Because she actually said that I should meet her son, which was my dad. Because I would get along with him really well. And it was at that moment I realized she wasn't doing good.
Thanks, Marks. We're good. I wanted to hear this just once.
Graham has it. Oh, the grandma had Alzheimer's? Yeah. And that's hard on everyone. Like, the family, the person. You know, because, like... It's not like you can just be like, oh, here, have this. Nina! Hello, welcome on in. I hope all's well in your corner of the world. And, like, you can't just snap somebody out of it. Although there are people that think you can. I'm not sure if that was the right spot, but we're going with it. I'm not sure what I'm doing. I know I messed up, though, and I know where I messed up. Ah, thank you. This pattern is from the Urban Stitcher. The Urban Stitcher does tons of blackwork designs. So it's a lot of back stitching and sometimes other specialty stitches. Unfortunately, sometimes you put one stitch in the wrong area and it's hard to like fudge and make it look good. So you end up frogging. Learn to deal with the gram with Alzheimer's, where you were sick most of your life. Which is rough. So this one will be up for giveaway in December, along with all the other ones. Unless I can't figure out how to frog. All because I put one stitch in the wrong spot. This one right here. Because why wouldn't I? But if anybody's newer here, hello, I'm Zakayla Zach, Mama Zach. Call me dude, it's alright. I will answer. I have 4 kiddos, 2 doggos, 3 cats. 4 cats? 4 cats. 4 cats. I can't count. And 13 chickens. An aquarium with a couple fish. I don't know how many fish because, well, they all hide. A few stitches wrong, that's alright. It's alright. If you can just make it work, just make it work. That's what I do sometimes. I am a variety crafter. So I do a large variety of mainly fiber art, sometimes non-fiber art. Thank you, Jody. My moderators are amazing. Great granddad had Parkinson's. Aw, that's rough too. Like, anything can be rough. Any kind of disease or illness can be really rough on not just the person that has it, but their family too. And sometimes I think that's why, you know, oh, let's put grandma or grandpa and, you know, the nursing home because they can take care of it, and then slowly you just get out of their lives. I don't, like, I worked in a nursing home. The kitchen and laundry, but I worked in a nursing home. And the amount of times I saw something like that happen is outrageous. Irony of crafters getting into hobbies that require being able to count. Well, not being able to count is something that haunts me, right? Yes. Since you were a child, oh my gosh. Never mind Alzheimer's or dementia or Parkinson's. And yeah, those homes are bad. Like, I mean, there are perks to it because, you know, the providers know how to care for this. But still, it's terrifying to see the amount of families that just kind of give up. Hi, Hovers. Okay, Hovers just got home, so I'm gonna get up and go give him a hug and tell him that he needs to go sleep after he eats. Grandma had Alzheimer's before she passed away last year. Been working in a nursing home for people with dementia for almost 8 years. Oh my gosh, that's rough. Hi, Hovers. Why did the family get distant with you when your grandparents cut mom and you out? Oh, that's terrible, Joe. I'm gonna give Hovers a hug here. I'll be right back. Oh, fine. Never mind. He doesn't need hugs from me. He's got Maple. Oh, he's putting Maple down. She's like, no, pick me up. Okay, I'll probably eat one of those later for dinner. Look, she's barking at him. She's having someone sit with the person so you can get some sleep, or yeah, self-care is the most wonderful thing. Yep. Dad has dementia and told him that as long as you can, he will stay home. Yep. Have not heard anything bad about the local nursing homes. Also would not just drop him in and leave him. Yep. Observer Mama Bird. Learned this while caring for my husband. Aw. It is true, though. It is. And so my grandma passed away a couple years ago, and it ended up she had COVID. But she was sent to a nursing home because of a bladder infection, I believe. But in the nursing home, which I knew, the nursing home, she got COVID and she passed because of that. And my aunt didn't want to tell me because I actually worked at the nursing home that she went into beforehand, and my husband already was still working there. Well, I know I'm not blaming the nursing home, but like the hospital was kind of just pushing anybody out into nursing homes that they could. Well, I know Hovers. Maple's not helping. Is Maple helping? Grandma at home, you went to see her as much as you could. She remembered you clear up till the last time you saw her. Last one to see her live. Oh. So you kissed a girl just 'cause you wanted to. Yeah, I think that's part of why my aunt didn't tell me, is because my grandma was not the same in the end. And like my cousins had gone and visited and they knew. Yeah, not all homes are bad. Sometimes a home is the best you can do. Yep. Nana in a nursing home for about 8 years because could not dedicate the attention and care to her that she needed, but mom and you made a habit of visiting as often. Yep. And honestly, that was rough. The shutdowns because baby girl. Because a lot of people missed out at those last days with their loved ones that were in the homes. Because of that. And it was for safety. One time she's fine, the next time she's screaming. Oh. Yeah, that's bad. That's rough. But you did the best that you could. Which is all anybody can ask. Didn't give up on her. That's awesome. And honestly, can't blame you for not giving up. Because that's the best you could do. And now that I'm on the right track with these snowflakes, this one doesn't have snowflakes, it has ice cubes. That's why I skipped that. Talk you out of going, because, yeah. But it's also hard to talk a loved one out of going. Because, you know, you want that one last moment, that one last time. Even if it's going to be hard for you. We'll go, will be worse. And he's your ex-husband, but wasn't a factor. Okay. Aww. I'm glad they didn't make you feel bad also. Like, I've never understood that. Your granddad, yeah. Like, family can be rough. We all know that. Family can be not understanding. Cheer up a little more. Once again, these snowflakes are meat. Pretty close, but when you left, called him and talked it out, been more like a dad to you most of your life. That's good. But you know, Stuff like that affects everybody. And I think it's worse when there's a few people there and, like, typically they get along, but just because something happened, it just makes everybody hurt different. Yeah, all families have issues. Even the ones that look picture perfect. I might sneeze. If I do, I'm gonna try muting, but not sure if I will. Processed it. I think about logically, dealt with emotions, yeah. Right, Jody? And sometimes it helps talking it out with other people, especially not related to you. Switching the kitten over. Ooh, bigger bed. I'll bring everybody down. That's alright. We do have a trigger warning in chat for the rest of the month because we're talking mental health and suicide. So a lot of times we don't typically go too much into, you know, certain topics, but this month we're kind of handling it our own way. In the best sense that we can. Because mental health should not be a taboo subject. That's not where I wanted that. Oops. And, like, I know I've stated it a few times, but I work with people who have developmental disabilities, and it doubles up with mental health. So it's important to realize what can help ourselves or each other. Okay, we do have about 6 minutes till the next ad break, but I'm gonna run it here early because like I said, Hubbard's just got home and stuff. So I'm gonna run the ad break. So I'll be right back in about 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes. I understand if you can't stay. Appreciate it if you do stay, so I'll be right back. Okay. Sorry, Maple is being difficult. She did not want me to hit buttons on the stream deck. She wanted me to just hold her and cuddle her. But it's alright because she's amazing. But yeah, Trisha, feel free to message me on Discord if you would like to. You know it, Hubbard. I don't know where my pupper dog is. I bet she's not. Nope, not in her bed. He was looking for her, and she's like just watching.
Hey,
Like, oh,
are you in mommy's lap?
He likes it here. That was funny. Like he was literally looking for Maple.
Mommy's got a fan.
You going upstairs? Okay, good choice.
One way I can get it.
Oh, so our checks were mailed out on Monday or Tuesday. They're just delayed through the post office. Yeah.
We mailed them all.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah. Can I have my hand back? Okay, yeah. I have my hand back?